Hey everybody, let's play a game. Would you rather listen to this guy on a 16-hour flight to Lithuania?
You know what LA stand for, right? LeVar's awesome.
Or face the West Virginia press? Would you rather try to stop Army's triple option, endure 5 sets of grunts? Or face the West Virginia press? Would you rather own Brown season tickets, have to do that stupid kiss cam thing, get humiliated by the knuckleball? Or face the West Virginia press? Fans on cell phones, soccer flops, instant replay that isn't instant. They're all bad, but nothing is more soul-crunching, more terrifying, more annoying than when Huggy Bear unleashes the hounds on you.
Wow, classic West Virginia pressure.
Opposing guards, meet Mountain Mama, meet human Velcro. So go ahead, try to break that press. Try to break it before it breaks you.
I know in some quarters they call the West Virginia press annoying. I would say, I don't know, more like the Ebola virus or something. It'll destroy you if you let it. And you get in this type of hostile environment here with a crowd right on top of you. Young Kentucky team, West Virginia presses 36% of the time. The Wildcats have seen a mere 37 possessions of press all season long. And they haven't seen one quite like this. Starting backcourt experience. You know, Kentucky's got nothing but young players. But with Carter and Miles for West Virginia, they've got veteran guards here.
I agree. West Virginia's guards are a little bit smaller, though, and Javon Carter's so good at getting up underneath you defensively. He can apply pressure. For Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he's a 6'5" guard. I think you need to take your time. Put a guy like Javon Carter on your hip. Make a pass over the top. Be strong with the ball. Flash from the weak side. Kentucky can take care of the ball. Get the ball to a rim. I think they have a major advantage on the offensive glass, but it starts with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
To me, the whole key is West Virginia. They've got to make shots to get into their pressure. And it's not just press Virginia. To me, it's pressure Virginia, because when West Virginia's making shots, they get into their press. Now they're dictating the flow of the game. They're reacting to them.
When they do press, how good do you anticipate you see Javon Carter coming out? How good do you anticipate Kentucky not being satisfied just to get the ball over into the front court, but scoring against the press?
You've got to tack it on opportunity to keep for Kentucky. Don't bring two guys together, because if you do, they're going to trap you. That's the pressure. That's the pressure in the backcourt. What you've got to do is move the ball, move people, create gaps. Kentucky must drive the ball, come to a stop, and make the next play.
And also, if they get the ball from the rim, RD, that could be a huge thing for them, Seth, because they're so good with their average length being close to 7 feet that they can get second chance points off offensive rebounds.
Kentucky's got to rebound on the defensive end, though.
I agree.
Very well, because the best offense for Kentucky, West Virginia most times is the missed shot.
Well, then I'll say this too, last thing, is that you see West Virginia at times struggle against teams who have length. Baylor. So if they utilize their length and they get West Virginia into a half-court game, who besides Javon Carter can create shots for West Virginia?
And when you go into the lane against that big fella in Konate, Kentucky, they better come in there like they mean it. So we're going to ask you guys again one more shot here. Jay Will, this morning on game day, you picked Kentucky. You've been in this atmosphere. You stick with it. Do the Cats win tonight, or is it West Virginia?
I got to stick with it, but you know, West Virginia's atmosphere is intimidating, but they can take care of the ball. I still see Kentucky getting out here with the victory.
Press is different here. West Virginia makes shots, they get into the pressure, they create enough turnovers so they can get out in transition.
Bob Huggins, typically, as always, in his zip-up. Atypical is that Calipari, perhaps in tribute to Huggy, is also wearing the three-quarter zip, a staple of the Huggy.
Phyllis in his zip-up.
Well, just across his mouth. There's Dan Shulman.
Gray Skies, thank you very much, and welcome to Saturday Primetime, presented by AT&T. It is one of the best atmospheres in all of college basketball, the West Virginia Coliseum here in Morgantown, West Virginia, and this has been a tough ticket to say the least, with Kentucky in town here tonight. Welcome to the Big 12 SEC Challenge. And it's a stalemate right now. 4 for the Big 12, 4 for the SEC. Oklahoma State playing Arkansas right now, and then this game tonight to wrap it up. They love themselves some hoops here in this state. It's West Virginia and Kentucky. Dan Schulman and Jay Billis, the young Wildcats, dealing with this atmosphere and press Virginia. What are the keys to the game?
Well, the keys are really extra possessions. Can you get extra possessions against this young Kentucky team? And how does West Virginia do that? By forcing turnovers. West Virginia forces over 19 turnovers per game. They score 23 points per game off those turnovers out on the season. And offensive rebounds. West Virginia gets 14 offensive rebounds a game. If Kentucky can limit the second shots West Virginia gets, and if they are strong with the ball and take care of the ball and catch, face, and attack, then Kentucky's got a chance on the road.
He was born here, he played here, he's coaching here. Bob Huggins is with Maria Taylor.
All right, Coach, a little unusual. You were at a fish fry yesterday with Coach Cal. Now he's wearing a half zip to honor you. What's it like looking down the sideline going against him for the 12th time in your career?
Cal's always wanted to be like me.
That's the honest truth. What do you have to do on offense to start fast?
Well, we got to make some shots. We've struggled to make shots. We got to make some shots.
All right, thanks for your time, Coach.
All right, thank you.
It has been a problem for them recently. For Kentucky, 15-5. They're not ranked right now. This is the first week since 2014 the Wildcats have not been in the top 25. It is loud, and we are underway here in Morgantown with the same starting five, all freshmen for the Kentucky Wildcats, and a big job for the guy with the ball right now, the point guard, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, to deal with the pressure and an early turnover. Well, about as bad a 20-second start as John Calipari could ever have envisioned.
A great trap by West Virginia, essentially in the coffin corner near half court, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander coughed it up. And that's the start West Virginia wanted to get off to.
And it's going to be 40 minutes of this. And again, how will these freshmen, as talented as they are, deal with the pressure? Kevin Knox says, just fine, thank you.
Well, that's how you deal with it. You get the ball down the court, and then you attack. And that was a wide-open three in transition for Kevin Knox. The kind of start that the freshman wants to get off to. He has to have a good game for Kentucky to win on the road.
Knox made all 4 of his threes in a win over Mississippi State on Tuesday.
Now here's the initial trap. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander picks the ball up, and that was essentially a quadruple team with the sideline and the half-court line serving as extra defenders. You do not want to pick the ball up just past half-court.
First time that Kentucky has been here since 1970. Just the 3rd time they have ever come to Morgantown. And locals, Jay, told us this is the toughest ticket in the 47-year history of this building.
Well, what a challenge by Sagaba Konate. He is one of the best shot blockers in the country and an intimidating presence around the basket. He blocks shots sometimes with 2 hands.
Yep. Had 7 in one game this year, 6 in a pair of others. Senior backcourt for West Virginia. Javon Carter, Daxter Miles Jr. Sophomore starting up front. And Konate fouled by Nick Richards.
Oftentimes West Virginia wants to get into an inside triangle. And West Virginia can post its guards, especially Daxter Miles. They'll scissor guys off the post, and then they'll screen for one another, a little cross-screen, down-screen action.
Hall of Famer John Calipari bringing his Cats in. Bob Huggins, by the way, nominated for the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. And these two very close friends, and have been for many, many years.
Only a matter of time before Bob Huggins is in the Hall, one of the great coaches of all time. Over 800 wins, a couple of Final Fours in 1992 at Cincinnati and 2010 here at West Virginia.
And an early sub. Coach Huggins unhappy with what he just saw, and he's going to bring Chase Harler into the game. The 6'3" sophomore out of Moundsville, West Virginia. Daxter Miles Jr. coming out and getting an earful on the way to the bench.
Bob Huggins has never hesitated to use the bench as a motivator.
Gilgeous-Alexander into the teeth of the pressure, off to Richards. And it belongs to the Mountaineers. Javon Carter with a drive. Doesn't get the roll. Great offensive rebound by Konate. And we get a foul going against Kentucky.
Well, that was a grown man rebound while being blocked out. Sagaba Kanate goes after it with both hands to snag it. Hit by P.J. Washington, still got the ball.
Very strong, active players. Jay mentioned a great shot blocker, real force at the defensive end. Harler for three. Got it.
When West Virginia scores, they can get into the press. When they are not efficient on the offensive end, that takes away some of that pressure.
Good look in the corner for Knox. Won't go down. Crowd wanted a foul on Kentucky. They don't get it, but it's West Virginia ball.
Even if a whistle blows, could you hear it?
Absolutely not. This is as loud a building as we have been in this season. Harris, the lefty with a pull-up jumper, not there.
Terrible shot.
And that's going to send him to the bench. As soon as that shot hit the rim, Bob Huggins was up and telling Issa Ahmad to head to the scorer's table. Washington driving by Harris, rejected. Carter for three. Knocks down to Richards, who can't finish the slam. Carter the kick. Connected with the slam, and it's all Mountaineers. Back in Morgantown with Jay Billis, Maria Taylor, I'm Dan Schulman. You cannot simulate the kind of defense you will see from West Virginia, and Kentucky's seeing it right now.
Well, the pressure is one thing, but it's also the eraser that Sagaba Kanate is, blocking over 3 shots per game. And that has started the West Virginia offense. The defense has started the West Virginia offense. And when that happens and you start seeing shots go in, now all of a sudden the pressure ratchets up. When West Virginia's offense is good, its defense gets even better. And that's a scary proposition for John Calipari with this extraordinarily young Kentucky team.
He just made 3 subs. He left Knox and Gilgeous-Alexander, but replaced the other 3. That ball deflected out of bounds. So Quade Green, Wenyen Gabriel, and Jared Vanderbilt all into the game now for the Wildcats.
Well, Dan, there's an excellent view of the backflow pressure that comes. Once you beat the pressure, it still comes from behind you, and they can back tip the ball and knock it away for a turnover.
The point was made, Jay, that Kentucky, playing South Carolina recently, although they lost the game, saw a similar kind of physical, intense defense. Is South Carolina's defense comparable to West Virginia's defense?
Only in the half court. West Virginia brings it full court for 94 feet. And after they score, they can put somebody on the ball, and they bring the heat. And what West Virginia does is they make the simple things that you take for granted difficult. Inbounding the ball is difficult. Making an entry pass is difficult. And that can wear you down physically and mentally. So in the second half, they can really get into your legs, get into shooters' legs, and then get into your bench.
And a fairly deep team, too. There's another turnover.
So, Dan, the point you make about depth, really what West Virginia says to its opponent, we think our 10 is better than your 10. Your 5 may be better than our first 5, but our 10 is better than your 10.
And the point you made, it's not just wearing you down physically, it's wearing you down mentally as well. Part of the game plan for the Mountaineers. Carter, such a tremendous talent and defensive player, the reigning Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, misses the jumper, knocks out ahead of the pack, and he's got all 5 for Kentucky.
One of West Virginia's problems on the offensive end is shot selection. You take a bad one, you cannot defend a run out. And that's exactly what West Virginia gave up there by taking a challenge shot. If the shot is a hard one, it bounces out toward half court like that. That was basically an outlet pass for Kentucky.
Lamont West posting, can't finish, and down with the rebound, Gabriel, who's been a tremendous source of energy off the bench for the Cats. It starts the break, and Knox finishes again.
Really good answer by this young Kentucky team. A little bit of defense, and they get 2 runouts. You take a bad or a rough shot, it's an outlet pass, and Kentucky gets easy baskets as a result. But you know what, Dan? You got to work pretty hard to get these easy baskets. That's the way it works.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by AT&T and in part by TD Ameritrade.
Welcome back to Morgantown, where the Mountaineers have an early lead on Kentucky, a part of the Big 12 SEC Challenge. Kentucky and West Virginia have met 20 previous times, with the Wildcats winning 15 of the 20. But as we mentioned, Kentucky's unranked for the first time since 2014. West Virginia's ranked 7th. They were as high as number 2 a couple of weeks ago. Kentucky can be turnover prone, and of course West Virginia turns you over about as much as anybody in the country. And it's a very, very young Kentucky team, most specifically here in the backcourt, very experienced backcourt for the Mountaineers. The top 6 scorers for Kentucky are freshmen, and again, that backcourt of Carter and Miles, 247 games combined for the 2 of them coming into this game tonight.
Little experience difference with the 2 backcourts, but Dan, over the last 4 games, West Virginia has struggled on the offensive end, only averaging about 74 points over that 4-game stretch, shooting under 40% as a team. And a good number of the Mountaineers that have been having good offensive years have really struggled, especially Lamont West is one of them. Daxter Miles has been struggling over the last 4 games. Beetle Bolden, they have to pick it up on the offensive end in order for their defense to be better.
Beetle Bolden with the ball right now at the point. Sophomore out of Covington, Kentucky.
A little slice cut screen for the screener.
Samad can't get position in the post, and he tells Bolden, reverse the ball. I can't get open. Bolden says, hey, maybe I'll just knock down a long jumper.
43 of his 66 shots now on the season, 66 field goals, I should say, are 3-point shots. You have got to make him get inside that line.
Quade Green off to Sasha Kalia-Jones, and he becomes the first Wildcat other than Kevin Knox to score in this game.
Really nice job by Quade Green of breaking that pressure and attacking. You have to attack pressure at the point that it's applied.
Ahmad, who missed the first 16 games of the season, NCAA eligibility issues. Now in his 5th game since coming back, had 18 and 15 in the first 2 games, has cooled off in the last 2. Strong drive and a finish for Hamidou Diallo.
West Virginia is giving up layups. After they miss a shot, transition defense has been poor. And all of a sudden, a great pass ahead by Quade Green, and Green just got back off a back strain. Last 2 games, it has been a tough recovery, but he has played very well early on off the bench in this one.
And Diallo at times this year, more in the non-conference part of the season, was a huge offensive weapon for Kentucky. Has cooled off a little bit in general in conference play. They could really use some double-digit scoring from Diallo on a regular basis.
Well, that was a big-time rebound off the missed free throw by Jared Vanderbilt.
Carter and Miles back into the backcourt now for the Mountaineers.
Really important for Kentucky to stay in front of the ball. This is not a great perimeter shooting team, West Virginia.
Carter and Bolden, their 2 best outside shooters, knocked away by Green, and then he is fouled. So Quade Green's had a real impact on this game since coming in off the bench.
And after the turnover, not a bad foul there by Javon Carter, because that would have been a layup for Kentucky on the pass ahead by Quade Green had he not been fouled. Just loose with the ball here. Gets knocked away by Green because it was shown to him by Javon Carter.
Kentucky spent a lot of time at shoot-around today just working on how to get open on an inbounds play. Green keeping the dribble alive and now called for a double dribble. John Calipari said his young cats, it's going to go one of 2 ways. They're going to learn how to get open. They're going to catch the ball strong with 2 hands, and they're going to be strong with the ball once they get it, or they're going to be in real trouble here tonight.
Well, you have to catch, face the defense, not catch and dribble. Catch and dribble turns into a turnover. But if you catch, you're strong, you face the defense, then you can see what's in front of you and make a play. Dave Odom, a former coach at Wake Forest and South Carolina, all the time preached passing and catching, how important it was.
Konate with a shot fake, got Gabriel in the air, and it makes him pay.
I don't know why Gabriel would leave his feet there. If Sagaba Konate decides to take that shot, that's a win for you defensively.
Kentucky doing a better job dealing with the pressure in the backcourt the last couple of minutes, but now Vanderbilt turns it over in the front court. Carter asking for a ball screen. Konate started up now. Carter hands it off to Miles. Then they run a lot through Konate at the top of the key. Misses the long jumper. Good outlet. And Knox. Rejected by Konate. Knox wants a goaltending call, but it's a clean block.
That is a pretty good eraser to have at the end of that pencil.
Pinned it.
Yep, looked like you got it just before. Once it hits the backboard, you have to leave it alone. And it was simultaneous. Yeah, that's a big time shot blocker there. And it's not like he's 7 feet tall. He is just so quick and explosive off the floor.
Konate 6th in the country in blocks, better than 3 per game. Gilgeous Alexander baseline jumper, and it's a 1-point game.
When Konate goes out of the game, it means that Kentucky needs to attack the rim.
Kentucky appears to have weathered a strong early storm here for the Mountaineers. All kinds of turnovers and threes early for West Virginia, but now it's back to a 1-point game.
Buddy Allen, a good scorer, good post player.
And the foul called on Sasha Kalia-Jones to take us to the under-12 media timeout. When we come back, Jay Billis going 94 feet, kinda sorta, with Bob Huggins.
That's better than the Hall of Fame.
Bob Huggins was born right here in Morgantown, West Virginia. Was a terrific player here for the Mountaineers in the mid-70s, and then took a job as a grad assistant in 1977-78. Coached at Walsh, Akron, great run at Cincinnati, 1 year at K-State. Now in his 11th season back here at his alma mater at Morgantown, and a Final Four appearance for the Mountaineers back in 2010. Spent some time with Jay Billis earlier today.
94 feet with West Virginia's Bob Huggins. What was your first car?
A GTO.
What'd you pay for it?
Not very much.
What are you driving now?
Cadillac Escalade.
Who would you say is your best friend in coaching?
Probably Cal.
How about the biggest influence in your coaching life?
And my dad.
If you weren't coaching and had to do something outside of sports, what would you do?
Be a lawyer who turned to broadcasting.
That wouldn't work at all. What is this? Okay, we're going to do
the rest of them from here.
What do you do for fun? What does Bob Huggins do for fun?
Fish.
What's the biggest fish you've caught?
I've caught really big fish. I got a 5.5 pound brown trout.
All right, one place you could go on vacation, what would it be?
Florida.
70 feet.
One of the all-time great guys. Bob Huggins, obviously a great coach. He's had a magnificent career. I know he likes to come across as gruff at times, but you are not going to find a better guy. And the people here of West Virginia, I know it's his home state, went to college here. They absolutely love him. And he's out on. He goes out. People see him at IHOP. He stops. He's got time for everybody.
Yep. And he and John Calipari, terrific friends, have been for many, many years. And to Coach Cal, it looks like, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, as the guys mentioned earlier, it looks like he is kind of honoring Bob Huggins with his dress code here tonight. Maria's got more.
Well, Coach Huggins was saying in his huddle that the biggest question mark right now is whether or not they actually want to play transition defense. He was getting after his team and challenging them to get back and asking whether or not they're too tired to play. He'll rotate them out as soon as they need to go.
Yep, the bench is there for a reason. By the way, they changed the Bolden shot from a 2 to a 3. Now 16-13 West Virginia. Nice cross-court look. Diallo, though, turns it over, and that is the 6th turnover committed by Kentucky. So they're at a pace to turn it over almost 30 times. You don't win when you turn it over that many times, needless to say.
Well, in the half court, Kentucky has not been able to find much. And Maria Taylor's exactly right. It's been transition where Kentucky has had success by laying it in and playing ahead of the West Virginia defense. If it's 5-on-5, it's been all West Virginia.
Golden, nice entry pass. Rejected, though, by P.J. Washington. Still West Virginia ball.
That's one with an angle where Issa Ahmad has to score, get fouled, or both. Issa Ahmad has the biggest hands easily on the floor. It's amazing how big his hands are.
Long three with a shot clock running down. Not there for Miles. Offensive rebound. Ahmad couldn't put it back in. And it's Kentucky ball.
Point blank opportunities that West Virginia's missing.
Wow. Gilgeous-Alexander called for the offensive foul.
We talked a little bit about Issa Ahmad and the size of his hands. And I'm not running for president or anything, but I've got some big hands, and we could, after we show this chart, I thought we were going to take a look at the size of these hands, but the game's back going again. We'll show it a little bit later. Very impressive.
Good ball pressure by Green on Bolden. And West, after setting the screen, didn't get turned around in time to receive the pass.
Look at the size of those things. It's unbelievable.
Bob Huggins said he can palm a ball on a bounce pass. He can just receive a bounce pass with one hand and just palm it right away.
No, he's talking about palming one of those big balls that they use, the big basketball that you use for shooting drills. A lot of guys can palm a ball just off the dribble or off a bounce pass, but the really big basketball Issa Ahmad can palm. So it's remarkable how big those mitts are.
And another turnover. Steps on Gilgeous-Alexander. Big Monday doubleheader here on ESPN. It features Notre Dame at Cameron Indoor Stadium to take on Duke. Duke beaten at home by Virginia earlier today in a 2-point game. And then a Big 12 matchup. Kansas and Kansas State. Sunflowers showdown. K-State quietly having a very good season. Both games are also available on the ESPN app. And look at the Big 12 standings. Kansas is on top. And then 4 programs, Texas Tech, West Virginia, K-State, and Oklahoma, all just a game back. And 1 week from tonight, we'll be down in Austin for a Big 12 game day game. We'll see Trae Young and Oklahoma taking on the Longhorns.
West Virginia almost gave up another transition basket. P.J. Washington just overthrown, or we would have had another layup.
Allen inside. Miles off the glass and good.
Good cut off the flex cut to get into that inside triangle. Well, you really have to jump to the ball against West Virginia, or they will bury you on those cuts.
Nice cross-court look from Green, and another travel. Boy, the last 3 turnovers have all been steps, guys just hurrying for the Wildcats.
Take a look at this cut on the baseline. When the ball's passed along the baseline, ball's passed to the high post, that's called a flex cut. And not very well defended. No communication among the freshmen in this difficult environment. And they give up a layup to a team that has been struggling shooting. With all the turnovers that Kentucky's had in this first half, Dan, West Virginia should be up even more than this.
Absolutely. Kentucky turns it over on the season about 19-20% of the time, which is high. They've turned it over 10 times in 22 possessions tonight. That's about a 45% clip. And as you mentioned, they are very fortunate to be down only 5.
Well, and Bob Huggins is a very smart coach. When something works, he goes back to it unless you can take it away. Ran that same baseline flex cut to get a post ISO on the right side and got it again. Daxter Miles, just a 6'4" guard, but an excellent post player as a guard. Here's the cut, near side on the right, just going right by, and Nick Richards just not alert to that play. Needs to step in front and communicate so his teammate can catch up or maybe switch.
Amadou Diallo just picked up his 2nd foul for Kentucky, so he's gone to the bench, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander back into the game.
Anytime that the ball goes through the net, whether off of a field goal or a free throw, full court pressure, pressure on the ball, face guarding, and now a trap. West Virginia wants to get you playing at a pace that you don't practice. And they have to make individual plays instead of team plays.
Off the glass and good. Tough drive for Gilgeous-Alexander, who seems to find a way. We talked about it last week when we saw Kentucky. He's not a burner, but he gets where he needs to go.
No, he's just a really good player. He's been their best player, I think, over the last month. And he's one of those guys, Dan, I've talked about it before. He didn't break out on the offensive end with an offensive performance. He was a breakout player because of his defense.
Knox, wow, what a finish.
And Kentucky is totally burning West Virginia in transition. Off a missed shot, the outlet is easy, and they are getting to the rim in an easy fashion. It's remarkable with all these turnovers that Kentucky is within a bucket. Remarkable.
Right now, unofficially, fast break points, 8-0 in favor of Kentucky. Now we got a foul underneath.
Teddy Allen's just got to be tougher there. He had a wide open shot, just needed to go up quicker and finish that. What a play by Kevin Knox here to get that past Javon Carter and into the bucket. This is not an easy play.
Second foul on Nick Richards. So a pair of Wildcats now with 2 fouls. Richards to the bench.
At the line for the Mountaineers.
And at the line is Teddy Allen, the freshman from Mesa, Arizona, who was putting up some big numbers for West Virginia at the outset of conference play. He was their leading scorer in each of their first 3 conference games, and then he kind of got to the wrong side of Coach Huggins. Attitude, and as Bob Huggins told us, it's hard to listen when you're talking all the time, is what Bob Huggins said of Allen, and he sat him down for a couple of games. Didn't play him at all for a couple of games about 10 days ago.
I'm sorry, what?
Point well taken.
Well, they call him Teddy Buckets. Went to Boys Town High School in Nebraska. Hey, what time are you due back in Boys Town?
Washington banks it home.
And now Kentucky's starting to play with a little rhythm. And they're not being knocked back by the pressure of West Virginia. And a lot of that is because West Virginia's offense has not been efficient. Kentucky has to feel like they really weathered the storm. And instead of wondering about getting punched, now they're looking to punch back.
Shot clock at 7. Carter gets the switch. Gets around Washington. Too strong, but the follow is there for Konate.
Well, when Sasha Kalia-Jones came over to block that shot, that opened up the offensive glass for Sagaba Konate.
Timeout on the floor. 3-point lead West Virginia. When we come back, a preview of our Saturday primetime game next week. 1 week from tonight, our Saturday primetime matchup features Trae Young and Oklahoma taking on the Longhorns down in Austin. 6:15 Eastern time, 5:15 local. 1 week from today, Oklahoma was beat today by Alabama, 70-63 in the Big 12 SEC Challenge. Texas with a win over Ole Miss. How do you feel about the way Young, may have responded to some criticism about a week ago about shooting too often, the way he's played the last couple of games?
I'm not sure he was too worried about the criticism. I think it's more what his coach Lon Kruger wants him to do. And he's doing a much better job of picking his spots. And as a result, I think he's been much more efficient. His team certainly was efficient in beating Kansas, but this is a great young player. And the closest thing we've seen to Stephen Curry since Stephen Curry. But right now, Dan, in this game, Kentucky is shooting 60% from the field. They are 9 of 15. But all of it has come in transition. And Kentucky really hasn't gotten much at all in the half court. They've turned the ball over 10 times, and West Virginia scored 11 points off those 10 turnovers. You have to feel like even though Kentucky has been efficient when they've gotten the ball to the rim, I think West Virginia has to feel like they've got to be up a lot more in this game, and they haven't taken advantage of opportunities they've had.
John Calipari playing Gilgeous-Alexander and Green together more tonight, wanting both of his primary ball handlers out there because of all this pressure. Vanderbilt given a bit of a hip check there by Wesley Harris, who's called for the foul.
And Jared Vanderbilt gives another ball handler, passer, a guy that can throw ahead. And at his size, he can see over defenders. Not a great shooter, but a very skilled player. Now back getting healthy.
Second on Harris. He goes to the bench. Nearly turned over. And Konate arguing that should have been steps on Kalia Jones. Vanderbilt, the lefty with the floater, short, got it back. Goes up again, rejected by Konate. Carter one-on-one, banks it home.
Well, Konate can erase an opportunity and start your own. He just measured that shot by Vanderbilt and went up and got it out of the air. I mean, harken back, it looks kind of like Sidney Wicks blocking shots against Artis Gilmore in the final a million years ago.
Wide open three for Gilgeous-Alexander. Vanderbilt is fouled.
A smart play by Jared Vanderbilt to use the up fake and get Konate into the air. Watch this block. He just measured it and took it right out of the air, but kept it in play. And that started a fast break for West Virginia. It's been West Virginia that's been watching Kentucky lay it in transition, but West Virginia getting a little of its own in its own building.
Fourth game back for Vanderbilt after missing the first half of the season with a leg injury. What have you seen from him, and what do the Cats need from him in the next couple of months?
Well, they need him to get into basketball shape, and slowly he is. To be out that long and not be on the floor, it takes you a little while. But against South Carolina, he had 6 points, 5 rebounds. Against Mississippi State, had a couple of points, but struggled. But he's a good player.
Boy, that's a tough sequence there for Gabriel. I think the foul's on him, and it is. He had the offensive rebound. Great energy to get the ball, then lost it, slipped to the floor, and then committed a foul in the aftermath.
Knox and Washington check in for the Wildcats.
Why do you not throw it out is what John Calipari's saying after you had the ball. I don't know that Gabriel ever really had control of it, but the sophomore, he's been, as we mentioned earlier, a real spark, a real positive source of energy for this Kentucky team this year.
And I'll tell you the answer to Cal's question, why didn't you throw it out? I'll tell you what I would have said. Because I grabbed it, it's mine.
But he didn't have it for long. And a lot of people who play West Virginia say, I had it, and then all of a sudden it was gone. 6-point lead now for the Mountaineers as West will head back to the bench.
Well, Lamont West has been struggling with his shot. He couldn't miss earlier in the season. Made 32 threes on the year. But the last 4 games, he's 7 of 25 from the field.
Cats get it over. It's been feast or famine. They're shooting well when they manage to get a shot off, but they've turned it over so much that they find themselves down by 6. Carter is fouled, and more free throws coming now for the Mountaineers.
He looked like a running back trying to get through a hole in the line there. This is one strong, grown man out on the floor.
And Jay, as you know, not a big recruit. As much of a baseball player in high school as he was a basketball player. But he's turned into one of the best defensive players in the country, and he's part of the 25-man Wooden Award bin season list. So he's getting recognition now for the kind of career that he's had with the Mountaineers. Let's get more from Maria Taylor.
And Dan Javon told me earlier that he didn't even like playing defense necessarily in high school, but when he got here, Bob Huggins said he had to play defense. So that's when he learned how to have an art to the steal and worked really hard. And now he says he tries to push past the point of exhaustion every single day in practice so that he can perform that way during games.
It's amazing to have one guy on the team averaging better than 3 blocks per game in Konate, speak of the devil, and another guy on the team averaging better than 3 steals per game in Carter.
Konate's like a middle blocker in volleyball. He blocks that with 2 hands.
Unbelievable. Gabriel gets an open look. Can't knock down the 3.
A great block out by Konate on Kevin Knox.
Carter nearly turns it over, gets it back, now launches a 3. Why not?
West Virginia got away with a bad offensive possession that Javon Carter bailed them out of. Nobody was moving at all.
Feels like a dangerous time right now for the Cats. The lead out to 11, and the pressure continues to take its toll.
Konate with the block with both hands. Looked like a volleyball player going up to block a spike. Back in the old days, that was like Steve Timmons.
Look at you.
Oh, I know my volleyball. That's a big-time play and just leads to the offense. But Carter on the other end, after what was not a good offensive possession in the half court, just bails him out. A great shot at the end of a poor possession. And that's always better than a lousy shot at the end of a great possession.
That's true. Konate extends the lead to a dozen. Well, every team knows what they're getting themselves into when they play West Virginia, especially here. And it's got to be perhaps a little bit intimidating knowing you can't simulate it. John Calipari said we can put on football pads. We can put 9 guys on the other team, on the scout team into practice. But there is absolutely no way for these guys to know what they're getting themselves into until they get themselves into it.
Well, especially with this crowd. I mean, the people of West Virginia are wonderful people until the opening tap.
Right. Diallo tipped away, still Kentucky ball. Diallo again, kind of fading away from the bucket. Vanderbilt with another offensive rebound, but Konate with another block. His 5th of the night already. And for good measure, Gilgeous-Alexander rings one up at the other end.
Boy, shot fake and drive. Shot fake and drive. But Jared Vanderbilt, I think, was absolutely shocked when that shot got blocked on the other end.
Carter gets the roll. Vanderbilt, who's got some point guard skills, or point forward, if you will. He's getting a chance to handle. Backdoor cut, but another ferocious rejection by Konate. Was he called for the foul? Yes. He was.
But even though it was a foul, that sends a message. If you come in here, you are going to have to deal with me. And it looked like he went straight up. There was body contact, but he went, well, maybe he went into him a little bit. But I'm not a big fan of that call because it was clean up top. But he looked like he got his other arm on it. His left arm came out with an arm bar. But even though it was a foul, I think that's a great message-sending play by Sagaba Konate that I am here.
I mean, they have 2 players who can alter the course of a game at the defensive end alone. And Konate still shaking his head, and Carter. That was the second on Konate. He sits.
There's a media timeout coming up, and Kentucky needs it. But this last 4 minutes of the first half is a crucial time for Kentucky. Now back in the 2-3 zone, the Wildcats. And they're going to have to rebound out of this. If this could get away from Kentucky, this got to be a good, important period for them.
Man, oh man. Javon Carter getting anything he wants right now. For a guy known for his defense, doing a pretty nice job of the offensive end tonight.
And it's got to make Bob Huggins feel good to see a couple shots go down because West Virginia has not been shooting well at all. Needs to be a tighter trap.
Knox short on the 3. Knox gets it back. Playing aggressively tonight, and he draws the foul. But it's all Mountaineers right now, up 17 on Kentucky. Let's go back to the studio and get an update with John Brickman.
Dan, update for you on the Pac-12 matchup, Arizona and Utah, second half. Dusan Ristic, part of a career-high 23 for him. That 3 helping Arizona's cause. However, Utah, in the closing seconds, a chance. Donnie Tillman, no. Arizona survives, as we'll be back to Morgantown after this timeout.
Such a great place here, Morgantown, West Virginia. The game day guys having fun before the show, during the show, after the show. Lots of laughs, lots of great info and energy this morning, and we'll hear more from Reese, Jay Will, coach on the Alfa Romeo halftime report right now. Jay Williams, Seth Greenberg standing by with Maria.
Yeah, and Jay Will had to be escorted out of here because he picked Kentucky earlier today. How do you think they're handling the pressure that they're seeing from West Virginia right now?
Obviously not too well. 11 first half turnovers, but surprised Kentucky hasn't gone zone earlier. Try to change up the defense for West Virginia.
The pressure just gets you to play faster than your abilities. They get it in bounds, but they get sped up, and all of a sudden in the half court, they got to play more out of concepts, Kentucky, as opposed to trying to run plays. You can't run plays against this defense in the half court.
Yeah, and I keep seeing Coach Cal saying, slow it down, guys, slow it down. We'll see what they do here. You can catch them at halftime, though, guys.
All right, Maria, thank you. Got to give Jay Will credit. He could have taken the easy way out. This is a rabid fan base. He could have revealed a West Virginia jersey just because, but he picked Kentucky to win this game this morning. Knox at the line. He has been the best Wildcat in this game.
And that breaks quite a drought. We had talked about Kentucky shooting 60% from the field a little bit earlier. It is down now after missing their last 9 shots. It's down to 39% and 11 turnovers in the first half for Kentucky.
Looks like West Virginia may go the rest of the half without Konate. He's on the bench with a couple of fouls. Kentucky dealing with a little bit of foul trouble as well. Carter having a huge first half for the Mountaineers. And it's going to get a little bit bigger.
They're trying to get into that inside triangle, hit the high post. Carter couldn't make the shot, just turned the corner to get something easy.
18 now for Carter.
Oh, what a game Javon Carter's had. And he's on track to be the all-time winningest Mountaineer.
Deshaun Butler's year, I believe, holds the record right now with 107 wins, and it's 95 and counting right now for Carter.
There's been a lot of great players and a lot of big-time winners here at West Virginia. But Javon Carter, the reigning Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year 3 times, all defensive team in the Big 12. And you get a lot of frequent flyer miles when you play in West Virginia in the Big 12. The road trips that the Mountaineers take are incredibly long. It's really amazing how many miles this team flies.
Their closest conference opponent is about 860 miles away. That's Iowa State. 860 miles away. Plus they went to Ramstein. They went to Germany back in November when they lost to Texas A&M. There are
I don't think Ramstein's going to make it into the Big 12, although they petitioned for conference realignment.
Yes. Foul going against the Mountaineers. It's a great basketball league, but it's a difficult thing from a travel perspective for West Virginia. You won't find them complaining about it very much. Like a lot of big-time programs, they've got a lot of Saturday, Monday turnarounds, that sort of thing. And they come into this game having lost 3 of their last 4. In spite of that, do you still think this can be one of the very best teams in the country?
Well, it is one of the best teams in the country with the way this team guards. I think the only caveat to that is it's prone to some droughts on the offensive end. And the last 4-game stretch has proven that, with the Mountaineers shooting under 40% that stretch. But defense is always going to keep the Mountaineers in it. I'll tell you what, how impressive was Virginia today in Cameron Indoor Stadium to come away with a win. He scored 65 points and won in Cameron. And the first time since 1973 that both Duke and North Carolina lost at home on the same day.
That's a remarkable stat. North Carolina losing in overtime to NC State. How about the Wolfpack with the quality of wins Kevin Keats' team is putting together? They've now beaten Arizona, Duke, and North Carolina this year.
Also Clemson.
Yep.
NC State is making a great case for an NCAA tournament bid as long as they stay on this track. The Wolfpack's going to get in. Kevin Keats has done a magnificent job with that team. They've got Markel Brown back. Virginia has proven to be one of the 3 or 4 best teams in the country. Could argue for #1 now that Phil Booth is injured at Villanova.
Ty Jerome hit a monstrous 3 near the end of the game. Great pass fake, looked away the defender, and then it was pretty close to a dagger in the last minute or so of the game at Cameron. That Virginia team not Not everybody loves to watch their style because it's very methodical and slow pace. But if you don't respect the heck out of them for what they're doing, really at both ends of the floor, and what Tony Bennett's program has been in the last few years, I mean, they're one of the elite programs in the country. There's no other way to say it.
Well, nice job by Quade Green to make himself available after the run and jump. And he was aggressive looking for his shot. He's had some nice moments in this game.
Carter being guarded by Knox on this trip.
Too much dribbling.
Long two, not there for Carter. Bender runs it down, picks it up, and they got a fresh 30.
Well, that's really deflating when you're on the road. You play 25 seconds of really good defense, force a tough shot, and now all of a sudden you got to play 25 more seconds of defense.
Bolden with a floater, and it goes.
James Beetle Bolden. They call him Beetle because he was born prematurely and was so small he could fit in the palm of your hand.
It was his grandmother who gave him the nickname, said Beetles are small and strong, and she believed her grandson would be as well. And he's proven to be every bit of that. Another three for Kevin Knox. He has 15 points in the first half here for the Wildcats.
Well, Knox and Quade Green are keeping Kentucky in it. This could have gotten away from the Wildcats in the last 4 minutes. They took some haymakers, but still right now within 12. And that, you hate to say that's a win for Kentucky, but right now staying within striking distance.
Sports Center tonight coming up at 11 o'clock Eastern time here on ESPN. John Anderson, Kevin Connors, they'll have a breakdown of the Celtics-Warriors game tonight. Also, Tiger Woods playing his first Saturday on tour in about 2.5 years, and the top moments from the day in college hoops, including the Big 12 SEC Challenge. If you're watching Sports Center later, pretty sure you're going to see some Javon Carter highlights.
Well, it's been moving day for Javon Carter, the senior. He has 18 points in the first half. To go along with 3 assists, he's forced a number of turnovers and has made some plays, saved this bad offensive possession with a great shot toward the end of a clock. And being the inbound guy, stepping in and being ready to shoot, Javon Carter has proven to be one of the best winners in the country and one of a handful of the nation's best defenders. I'll tell you who I'd put up with Javon Carter as a non-shot blocking defender would be Isaiah Wilkins at Virginia.
Yep.
Like, Wilkins is a great defender, not just on the ball, but what he does as a help side defender, always in position. He's a great defender.
Oh, good D there by the Wildcats. They get a tie-up, but the arrow will keep it West Virginia ball. It'll be Bolden to inbound for the Mountaineers, who have led by as many as 17 in this game. Green deflects it away, but it's West Virginia ball, 10 on the shot clock. Carter splits a couple of defenders, and the three will go for Bolden. Boy, they made something out of nothing right there, didn't they?
Not pretty, but it was awfully pretty at the end. The possession itself wasn't pretty at all.
Gilgeous-Alexander, no, and that is the end of the first half here in Morgantown. The West Virginia pressure getting to Kentucky and forcing 11 first half turnovers. Mountaineers by 15. Maria Taylor's with Bob Huggins.
Coach, you forced Kentucky into the largest deficit they faced this season. What has worked for your team in the first half?
I think we got them sped up a little bit, but we finally made some shots.
Javon Carter made a lot of shots. He got 18 in the first. How do you keep that rhythm going?
Finally, we made some.
Thanks, Coach.
Finally, they made some. That they did, especially Javon Carter. And it's back to the drawing board at halftime for the youthful Cats. West Virginia 48, Kentucky 33. We'll send it to the Alfa Romeo halftime report with Reese, Jay, and Seth after these messages.
It's such a sweet sensation.
Now you can see the expression, the pained expression of the face of John Calipari. His Cats are down by 15. Welcome back to the Big 12 SEC Challenge. This is the last game of the 10-game challenge that's been going on all day and into the evening in the Big 12 and SEC venues. and it's been very competitive. It's 4-4 right now. Arkansas leads Oklahoma State late by 1, and West Virginia up by 15 here. Welcome back to the Coliseum here in Morgantown. Always a great place to see a basketball game. Dan Schulman, Jay Billis, hope you're enjoying it as well. Some keys to the first half. What was the difference for West Virginia?
Well, the difference was West Virginia shot the ball really well. They went 7 of 12 from three-point range. They knocked down 9 of their 12 free throws. And they really did a good job most of the half defensively, except in transition. They allowed Kentucky to get out and get some easy baskets in the full court. Otherwise, it was all West Virginia in that first half. We have to give Kentucky some credit because they hung in there. The fact that it's just a 12-point game at halftime when this could have gotten away from these young Wildcats, especially in this atmosphere, Kentucky is still within striking distance.
With some thoughts from the Kentucky side, here's Maria Taylor.
Well, Dan, those 11 turnovers matches the most turnovers that Kentucky's had in the first half all season. And John Calipari says he told his team he doesn't mind the forced turnovers. He doesn't mind a steal. It's the unforced turnovers that he's seen from his young freshmen. So that's the focus that they have coming into this half.
Well, there's a 5-second call, a turnover right out of the chute to Maria's point here to start the second half.
And you would call that unforced. And again, the simple made difficult. Oftentimes you are not worried coming out of halftime about inbounding the ball, but West Virginia makes the very simple and the things you take for granted really, really difficult.
Jay, what is the common thread in these West Virginia players? Bob Huggins does not get one-and-dones or McDonald All-Americans or top 10 recruits. What is he looking for when he goes out on the recruiting trail with this style?
Guys that are going to play hard. I mean, he's looking for talent like anybody else, but he wants guys that are going to play hard, be unselfish, and that are going to buy into playing defense and rebounding. And these guys do it. And you could argue they do it out of fear, all that stuff. I don't believe that's what it is. I think they do it because they're coached to do it. They're a very together group, and they play hard for 40 minutes. Now, offensively has been the only challenge. This is not a great offensive team, but defensively, they are a difficult team to play against.
Game to mark on your calendar 3 weeks from today. West Virginia is at Kansas. And Kansas right now, again, the leaders of the Big 12, trying to make it 14 consecutive conference titles. West Virginia may have something to say about that.
Got the switch up top on the ball screen, then the roll. And Sagaba Konate was wide open, but instead it goes to Wesley Harris because P.J. Washington had to pick up Konate on the roll, and that allowed Harris to get the ball inside for the easy bucket. Apparently they've been lifting here.
Harris at the line, junior college transfer out of Jackson, Mississippi. And Harris starting because of the suspension in the first half of the season to Esau Ahmad.
I do that strongman thing after I make my Starbucks order of my half-calf skinny latte. And as soon as I make the order and walking to wait for it, that's what I do.
You mean after somebody makes the Starbucks order on your behalf?
Well, that too. I think you want to show how tough you are on the line.
Shot clock at 5. Knox had a big first half for Kentucky. Around and out on the jumper. Gabriel runs down the offensive rebound and gets fouled on his way back to the rim.
That's not a foul because Konate went straight up. Give Wenyen Gabriel credit, but he went into the body of Konate.
Yeah, I think they gave it to Harris.
Oh, did they? Okay.
Yeah, Harris from behind there.
I didn't see it, but still, good job by Wenyen Gabriel to get the foul. That's actually a point, Dan, that when you're playing defense and you've got Sagaba Konate behind you, give him the chance to block the shot. You don't want to foul. Didn't look like much, but he got the call.
Third on Harris. Kentucky, as we mentioned off the top of the show, unranked for the first time in 4 years. They've lost 3 of their last 6. West Virginia comes in having lost 3 of their last 4, yet they are still 7th in the country.
That was a spot throwing.
Yep.
And that's a senior, Dexter Miles, doing that. I'm not sure whether the referee told him it was a spot, but he shouldn't have to tell him. Ball went out of bounds. He knows that.
There's turnover committed in the last 13 minutes by West Virginia. The number 2 ranking, Jay, that the Mountaineers had recently was their highest since the logo played for them. Since the late 50s when Jerry West was here in Morgantown, they were number 2 and at times number 1 that season as well. And in fact, West Virginia was so good they got invited to a very prestigious tournament back in the late 50s called the Kentucky Invitational Tournament, where Adolph Rupp would invite 3 programs. They'd have 2 semis and a final. West Virginia got invited 3 years in a row, actually beat Kentucky the first year, got invited back and lost to them the next 2 years.
I wonder who used to hire the officials for that tournament.
You think there might have been a hometown call?
No, I'm just teasing. You always laugh about back then when officials were assigned differently.
Carter now at 20.
What a player.
At both ends of the floor.
But especially on this end where he can change the tenor of a game with his pressure. And it's relentless. He basically plays 40 minutes. Bob Huggins rarely takes him out.
Tipped away by Ahmad, recovered by Knox. Gabriel, corner 3. And a terrific rebound by Clemente. Good luck taking anything away from him that he wants.
Here's a guy that's got to get going for West Virginia's Ahmad.
Clemente banks it home, getting it done at both ends.
He is having quite a game. He is a game-changing player with his shot blocking, rebounding, and his ability to finish inside.
Just a sophomore, 6'8", 260. Gabriel off to Knox. And a good look at a 3 for Kevin Knox, who now has 18 for the Wildcats.
That's just too long to rotate. I don't know why you want to leave the corner shooter to rotate up to the top. That's an awfully long trip. And then who's going to rotate over? I mean, Kevin Knox, he doesn't get that much time to shoot in a horse game.
Ball screened by West. Carter scoops it up. No good. Still loose in Kentucky ball.
Great pass ahead.
Diallo is fouled by West, and it's going to be called a flagrant 1. Which could be excessive contact or a defender not making a play on the ball, and that means 2 shots and the ball now for the Wildcats.
Anytime you do this from behind and grab a guy from behind, that was not a play on the ball. But that was all made by a great pass ahead by Quade Green. Quade Green has had some really nice plays in this game coming off the bench.
Just getting back to form after missing 3 games with a back injury. It's an NBA Sunday special for you on ESPN. Tomorrow at 6 o'clock Eastern Time, the Sixers taking on the Thunder. Also streaming live on the ESPN app.
Well, that was a big play in this game, Dan, because if Kentucky can score here on this possession, you've got a chance to get this thing under 10. And for a young team to feel better about itself in this atmosphere, it was a really big possession.
But they're going to give it right back with an offensive foul.
Well, I'm not sure about that one. I thought Teddy Allen was holding him to start. And what's he going to do? I mean, when you get held coming off a screen. If we can see that again, but I did not agree with that. I don't think the referees are going to listen to that.
They're not listening to Calipari. They're probably not going to listen to you.
In my experience.
Yes. Allen, too strong off the glass. And it's out of bounds to the Wildcats to take us to the under 16 media timeout. John Calipari working the officials. West Virginia with a double-digit lead here in Morgantown. Hey, more great college hoops action coming your way Monday. It's the Big Monday doubleheader. Firstly, an ACC game. Big Monday presented by Joseph A. Bank. It'll be Duke and Notre Dame in the early game, and then in Kansas and Kansas State. Always an entertaining matchup in the second game. Both games also available on the app. And what's at stake in the KUK State game? Well, look at the Big 12 standings. That'll tell you what's at stake. And again, every year we talk about, is this the year that somebody dethrones Kansas? Nearing the midway point of the conference season, they're a game up on the crowd.
Here's that last out of bounds play where an offensive foul was called on Kevin Knox, number 5. Now watch, he's being grabbed here by Teddy Allen. And then the referees called an offensive foul on Kevin Knox, which is hard to imagine that you could miss a call that badly. There's no way that an offensive player coming off a double screen on an out-of-bounds play is going to grab his defender. And every once in a while the referees miss one, but they shouldn't have missed that one.
This is one of the things that opposing coaches talk about sometimes with respect to West Virginia is, yeah, they're great defensively and they're physical and intense and so forth, but some coaches feel, you know, they're fouling on almost every possession, that there's holding and grabbing, and then you've got a choice to make. Do you just try to ignore it, or do you respond to it and hold and grab as well? And then are they going to call everything? Meanwhile, we've got an injured Mountaineer.
That was Kanate who went up trying to block that shot. He goes after every block, and sometimes it is going to be a physical confrontation, but Knox did a great job of going right into his chest to pick up that foul.
Is this the best you've seen Knox play this year?
He has been really strong in this game. Yeah, he's had some really good games, though. Kevin Knox has been a really good player. Been a little bit of a struggle playing around so many freshmen, and consistency has been an issue for this Kentucky team. But they are getting better, and he certainly has, especially in the last several games.
At the line for Kentucky.
Yeah, see, I don't know how that was called a foul, honestly. You know, the referees always talk about principle of verticality. He went straight up. What's he supposed to do? I mean, they tell you that you have the space from the floor up to the ceiling as long as you go straight up. And clearly, that's not the way that was called.
Third on Kanate, and grimacing a little bit. He did walk to the bench under his own power. Kentucky's got it down to 10. West Virginia has led by as many as 17.
Well, Kentucky's been hanging in there. But this is where the inefficiency on the offensive end for West Virginia can catch up to them a little bit. Like, the ball is sticking right now. There's really not movement from side to side. Very little player movement. So the defense isn't moving.
Ahmad trying to back down to Gabriel, but he turns it over.
It's not very good offensive execution for West Virginia. And usually a team that they run a lot of different sets. They probably got about 60 or 70 sets on their play card, including some 5-out motion that usually gets a lot of movement and makes the defense move. But in this second half, the defense has been a little bit stagnant as far as movement's concerned.
Look at Gilgeous-Alexander trying to swat away the arm of Carter every time Carter gets close to him, and now he kind of forces Ahmad into a foul.
Well, and swatting that arm away is good by Gilgeous-Alexander, because it points out to the official that you may be at times being held. And that was really smart to get low and get right into the hip of the hedge defender, Issa Ahmad, to pick up that foul.
And a quiet night for Ahmad, a guy, as you mentioned, they need more from him. Coming back after being suspended the first 16 games of the season.
Well, he's just been quiet, period, since he got back. He's such a good player, but has not played his best the last 4 games.
Diallo knocks down a 3. Terrific drive and a kick by Gilgeous-Alexander, and it's a 7-point game.
And right now, Kentucky's having some fun. I used to have a baseball coach that said having fun is doing hard things well, and right now the Wildcats are doing a really hard thing well. They are handling the pressure of West Virginia in West Virginia.
Timeout, Mountaineers. Let's get an update again. John Brickley back in the studio.
All right, Dan, Big 12 SEC Challenge, Oklahoma State, Arkansas going down the wire. Arkansas taking the lead on a Daniel Gafford tip-in. Meanwhile, Oklahoma State had their chances, but they struggled mightily down the stretch, went without a field goal in their final 7:32. Arkansas wins it, as we'll be back after this timeout.
This is the 12th all-time matchup between Bob Huggins and John Calipari. The first one came back in 1993, 25 years ago. Huggins Cincinnati Bearcats defeated John Calipari's UMass Minutemen 64-53, and Coach Huggins has an 8-3 lead on his good buddy, Coach Calipari. They've actually known each other since back in the 70s. There was a player by the name of Joe Frizz who played with Cal in high school and then played with Huggins in West Virginia, and they've been good friends ever since. The guy on the left is in the Hall of Fame. The guy on the right's nominated this year, and whether it's this year or soon thereafter, Coach Huggins will be enshrined in the Hall of Fame as well. Maria Taylor has more.
Well, Bob Huggins was very heated in his last huddle. You know, yesterday he actually sent his entire team back into the locker room because they weren't executing on offense. That's all he was focusing on in the huddle, getting after Javon Carter, saying they're taking 2 dribbles and then just throwing it up and it's a bad shot. He wants them to run the offense now, guys.
All right, Maria, thank you. It's a 10-0 run for Kentucky to make it a 7-point game. And the shot clock running down again. Carter, no. Carter again. Well, it looked like he had a pretty good look, decided not to take it. And now Richards got a piece of it. Ahmad can't finish, but it's knocked in by Bender.
Broken play. And West Virginia gets something out of it at the end. Still wasn't well executed. But West Virginia just played so hard throughout the possession. 1-3-1 zone now. I think Bob Huggins may be just dusting this off to remind John Calipari about the 2010 Elite Eight in Syracuse.
Knox again. He's got 23 points and is keeping Kentucky in it.
And that's what you didn't see in 2010 in Syracuse was 3-point shots being made by Kentucky against that 1-3-1.
In the last 2 games, Knox has 42 points and is 8 for 10 from 3-point range. Gabriel stays down on the shot fake by Amai. And it's Kentucky ball with a chance to get even closer.
Well, Wesley Harris is wide open on that flex cut.
And Knox with a clean look, couldn't knock down this one, but he runs down the rebound.
Long rebound, and West Virginia's transition defense again struggling. Good pass.
Richards inside. Gilgeous Alexander with the assist.
Against that 1-3-1, it's very small on the back line with Harler, and not quite as long. And that was a bullet pass to Richards along the baseline.
Harler for 3. And a foul called on Harris, and he's pleading his case with the official.
Harris is saying that Knox just kind of fell. But here, what a fantastic catch and shoot by Kevin Knox. And Gilgeous Alexander, another one-handed bullet to Nick Richards with a nice finish over Harler.
4th on Harris. Meanwhile, Konate has returned now for the Mountaineers. Quade Green from the corner, and another long rebound run down by Knox.
Well, West Virginia has not rebounded out of this 1-3-1. The corners are open because of the distance that Harler has to run.
Green on to Gabriel. Knox again. Boy, what a night he is having, and it's a 2-point game.
Well, what a comeback by Kentucky. Just to hang in there with so many young players in this environment to get this back to a 1-possession game. Who would have imagined?
And Bob Huggins will use another timeout. Give Kentucky a lot of credit. From 17 down to 2 in a hostile environment here in Morgantown with a long way to go in this one.
It's such a sweet sensation.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Travelocity. Wander wisely.
Welcome back, and let's take a look now at On the Road, presented by Travelocity. And you know it's a tough ticket when even the Gnome is looking to get in any way he can. Fortunately, he knows people. The Gnome has people. Reese being one of his people, and that got the Gnome into the Coliseum for this game here tonight. As tough a ticket as there has been in many, many years. A look at On the Road, presented by Travelocity. It's tough winning in this environment, and especially so since the Mountaineers have been coached by Bob Huggins. This is and I know you're going to say you don't need to say the word pretty in front of unique, but this is a pretty unique environment in Morgantown, wouldn't you say? You know, Dan, if it's unique, it's just unique.
Thank you for saving me the effort.
It's a special place. It's a very interesting place. They are fiercely proud of their basketball program, of the history. I mean, and when you can say, yeah, whoever you got, we got the logo. I mean, that's a good place to start. Jerry West, of course, one of the game's legendary figures playing here back in the late 1950s. But meanwhile, back into the present moment, How about these young Wildcats getting back into the game tonight, now down by only 2?
Well, Kentucky is starting to fight back. But from West Virginia's perspective, you have to think that Bob Huggins is really disappointed in the way his team has run offense in the second half. Half-court offense has been really inefficient, not getting the shot that they want. More dribbling than passing and not very much movement.
Carter, high arcing floater, not there, and Vanderbilt down with a rebound.
And now West Virginia back to man-to-man. High ball screen, trying to get some space.
And a chance to tie or take the lead. It'll be a tie on the floater by Gilgeous-Alexander.
They're just starting everything out higher and bringing that ball screen well above the top of the key is giving Gilgeous-Alexander some space to attack.
6 points, 4 assists for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Good show there by Kalia Jones. Konate will take the jumper. And now Kentucky's got a chance to take the lead.
And they've also got numbers.
And they've got Gabriel. Too strong on the 3. Carter, nice lead look to Miles. And got a piece from behind is Gabriel, but we got a foul after the play.
And Lamont West did a nice job of trailing that play and not giving up on the play.
Kentucky foul number 22, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Second on Gilgeous-Alexander.
You know, one of the issues for West Virginia, when the Mountaineers need a bucket, to whom do they go?
If it's not Carter right now, who else is there for them offensively?
That's exactly the point.
Yep.
And with Issa Ahmad not playing well and Lamont West not shooting well, all of a sudden it has been what a great outlet.
Diallo to Knox, and the lead for the Cats.
What a turnaround for Kentucky. Wow.
Their first lead since it was 3-2. Miles dumps it off, and Konate ties it up.
Yeah, I'd rightly see they're going to run Kalia Jones just to get Konate away from the bucket.
Wide open, Kalia Jones, 17-footer, Kentucky back on top.
And a foul underneath. And it looks like it's going to go against Kentucky. But a really fantastic call to screen with Kalia Jones, and a terrific outlet by Hamidou Diallo, and a fantastic finish. I mean, Kentucky has been very good in transition, of beating the defense down the floor and getting the easy bucket.
Season high 27 for Kevin Knox. Bolden back into the game for West Virginia, launches a 3, and Vanderbilt with a great rebound in between a couple of West Virginia defenders.
And right now the Kentucky players have a much different look on their faces than they had early on. Early on it was stunned surprise and shock at what was coming at them, and right now, instead of trying to cover up to keep, if this were a fight, to keep from getting punched, right now Kentucky's looking to throw a haymaker itself.
Green, bounce pass, Diallo, rejected, follow, won't stay down. But now Diallo getting on the glass is rewarded with a trip to the free throw line.
And the young Cats pounding the offensive glass. When Konate goes to block a shot, that can open up the offensive glass. And it's been all blue shirts all over it.
And a significant foul. This is number 4 on Sagaba Konate, the rim protector for the Mountaineers.
Let's see where the foul is.
I don't either. That's the indication we've been given, that it's number 4 on Konate. And he is standing right in front of us right now, and he is loud and he is angry. This is at least the second foul that he's gotten tonight, Jay, that he feels he doesn't deserve.
I didn't see where that foul was. That just looked like guys playing basketball. It's going to be a little physical on rebounds, but he had inside position and got the foul called on. That's a little strange.
Looked like actually like he got collared from behind a little bit, but it goes against him, and that is a huge loss for West Virginia.
And the officials limited defense here. This is like refereeing a car crash.
Yeah. West Virginia games as challenging probably to officiate as they are to game plan for the opposing coach. West Virginia has scored only 10 points in the second half.
It is way harder to game plan for the opposing coach. Referees do not have an opponent. There's nobody guarding them to keep them from making a call.
Bolden with Knox on him. Out to Carter. 7 to shoot. 4 dribbles between the legs for Carter, but he can't shake Diallo. Bolden with a huge 3 for the Mountaineers. And it allows him to set up the press.
Beadle coming up big.
Kentucky, Jay, turned the ball over 10 times in the first 10 minutes of the game. Only 3 times since in better than 21 minutes of action. And, of course, as soon as you say it, they turn it over.
He's trying to do something too quickly. But Kentucky is moving the ball, and West Virginia has not been out in passing lanes. They're allowing passes.
Gilgeous Alexander back in for Green. You're right when you say there's definitely a different look in the eyes of the Kentucky players than there was the first few minutes of the game.
Oh, it's a confident group that's looking to attack now instead of trying to cover up so they wouldn't be attacked.
Bolden again. And to whom would they turn, you said? To Beadle Bolden. Back-to-back threes, West Virginia back on top. Diallo saves it, but it's to Miles all alone. Timeout, Kentucky.
ESPN exclusive presentation of college basketball is presented by AT&T.
Welcome back to our Saturday prime game from Morgantown, West Virginia. Great environment here at the Coliseum. And a really fun game tonight between Kentucky and the Mountaineers.
Ball going out of bounds, and if Hamidou Diallo couldn't see anybody in a blue shirt to throw it to, just take it out of bounds where you can play 5-on-5. That was an outlet pass that was all but an assist for a layup for Dexter Miles Jr. But I'll tell you, in this second half, Kentucky 9 of 18 from the field, 50%. They've gone to the free throw line 8 times. They've made all 8. While West Virginia 38% in the second half. They've only shot 1 free throw, didn't make it. And the fact that West Virginia has only been to the line once in the second half at home shows that West Virginia has not been as aggressive in attacking the rim. And Kentucky doing a very good job of keeping them out of the lane.
Although in the last couple of minutes, it has swung back the other way. An 8-0 run right now for the Mountaineers. A couple of threes for Beadle Bolden, and then that layup for Miles. So Kentucky, which trailed by 17, then led by 4, now trails by 4 with 7:56 to go. Knox with 27 to lead Kentucky. Carter with 20 to lead West Virginia, but 18 of them in the first half.
I think you want to go to Kevin Knox here, being guarded by Dexter Miles.
And away from the ball, a push on Logan Rout, 6'11" sophomore from Cameron, West Virginia, who was a quarterback in high school. Imagine a 6'11" quarterback.
I can't imagine that, because Kentucky used to have a 7-foot wide receiver,
That's
Willie
right.
Cauley-Stein.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if those two were a combo?
Quarterback can see over everybody, and the wide receiver can jump over everybody. Nick Richards at the line. He's looking to bounce back from an 11-minute, 0.1 rebound performance during the week against Mississippi State.
Yeah, but it was a nice rebound.
Always the glass half full.
Give him a little credit. Yep. A glass half full is pretty good, depending on what's in it. Bill Raftery told me that once.
To no one's surprise. John Calipari still doing a lot of coaching out to this young team. Even by his standards, this is the youngest group that he's ever had. His veterans are sophomores.
There has not been a point for Kentucky scored by a senior this year. Isn't that amazing?
And 86% of their points and 79% of their minutes belong to freshmen.
Back screen, rescreen action, but still West Virginia needs more movement.
Bolden again. Wide right, and the rebound down to Richards.
Let's see if Kentucky decides to go to Kevin Knox.
Gabriel gets a look at a three. Richards the offensive rebound, off balance. He puts it up and draws the foul.
Well, Kentucky has done a much better job in the second half of attacking the offensive glass. And while it was a goal to keep West Virginia off its offensive board, Kentucky's turned the tables and has offensive rebounded against the offensive rebounding team, West Virginia. Maybe there's just something about wearing the pullover. You know, Bill Self wore the pullover in here. Kansas came away with a win. John Calipari going with the pullover, although his is long sleeve. Yes. Apparently he's worried about catching a chill.
We asked Bob Huggins at the end of shoot around, how many of those do you have? Because he wears one to every single game, and in typical quiet, concise Huggins fashion, he said, I've got enough to last the rest of my life. That's all he needed to say. He's got them in 5 different colors.
Remember, he used to wear that yellow suit back when he was in the Big East, and I think he stopped doing it when Bob Knight told him he looked like 300 pounds of butter.
Richards rattles home the second, and he'll take a seat as Kalia Jones is back into the game. The relationship between the two coaches runs so deep that, in fact, back in 2002, remember Bob Huggins was on a recruiting trip in Pittsburgh, John Calipari for the Pittsburgh area, and Coach Huggins suffered a heart attack at that time, and it was a cousin of John Calipari's who was the EMS technician as Huggins was taken to the hospital, helped save his life. Bolden, great shot fake, gets open for a three. Weak side rebound by Rout, and a foul against the Wildcats.
A terrific rebound. West Virginia does such a great job of stacking the weak side with 2 offensive rebounders. So the shot comes from Beetle Bolden after the really good shot fake. From the left side, the right side's got 2 offensive rebounders loaded up, oftentimes against one opponent.
Just the 15th foul on Kentucky. Carter off a screen, driving, left-handed. Gabriel got all of that.
And Wenyen Gabriel plays so hard all the time. His activity level gets out and makes Javon Carter put it on the deck and still recovers to block the shot, then blocks another one.
Kick out to Carter. Miles for 3. Just a 26% shooter from beyond the arc on the season.
Well, he's not been able to buy one, especially of late.
So West Virginia struggling to shoot right now and playing extended minutes without Konate, who's been on the bench for a while with 4 fouls. Gilgeous-Alexander muscles it up. Gabriel with the follow. Big plays at both ends for Wenyen Gabriel.
The ball finds the most active players. And Wenyen Gabriel always seems to be one of the most active players on the floor. Ball's got to go inside there. The route is wide open. Give it to him.
Elbow jumper, Carter.
Or take it yourself.
On second thought, his second field goal of the second half, and we're tied again. The decision for Bob Huggins is, when does he bring Konate back into the game? Knox driving on Bender.
Smart move. He saw he had Matchy Bender on him. Knew that he could blow by him and did just that. Well, that was a really smart move by Kevin Knox of knowing who was guarding him and taking advantage of it.
How about 10 for 16 and a season high 29 points for the freshman?
Okay.
John Calipari would sign up for that. 2-point lead, Kentucky under 5 to go. They double team Carter out of the perimeter, trying to get it out of his hands. Bolden will get the shot off. And Knox down with a rebound. A lot of the rebounds Knox has gotten have been out of his area, too.
Well, the shot selection for West Virginia has been questionable in this second half at best. So many challenged and difficult shots. I'm a little surprised that Kevin Knox is not posting up Daxter Miles now. Got a switch.
Gabriel driving on Miles. Handoff Diallo. Long jumper. Well short. And West Virginia ball as we move into the last 4 minutes of regulation. Carter couldn't find help, so a turnaround jumper will tie it.
What poise. A lot of players getting stuck, essentially having to pivot there, would have turned the ball over. Made a bad pass, but not Javon Carter.
Diallo. Strong drive right into the chest of Rout.
They had Rout on him when he caught the ball at the free throw line, just turned. And that was a really strong move by the super athletic Hamidou Diallo. The exchanges out front being switched up until now.
Carter pull up over Diallo. Very tough shot. And it's Kentucky ball. Bob Huggins didn't like that at all. An empty possession for the Mountaineers. Under 3 minutes to go.
They don't like these matchups right now for West Virginia. We got Bender on Quade Green. And give him the ball.
And because there's been such a long stretch without a whistle, Bob Huggins has been unable to make the subs that he wants, getting some of the starters back in the game. Fadeaway Green. Gabriel again, but he can't finish it. A foul against the Mountaineers as Kentucky getting it done on the offensive glass and trying to get out of Morgantown with a win in a very tough environment.
This time of year, the only place in West Virginia to be sits on the banks of the Monongahela River, one of the historic venues in college basketball, the Coliseum. The home of the Mountaineers. For half a century, this is where many great ones perfected their craft. It's where legends put it all on the line, and where the spirit of 1.8 million West Virginians wills you to victory. That's why we never stop grinding, never stop fighting, and always play with that Mountaineer toughness. This is West Virginia basketball.
Great tradition and a ton of passion for this West Virginia basketball program. They got their hands full tonight, right now with Kentucky down by 2 with 2:29 to go. Our big Monday doubleheader here on ESPN. It features Notre Dame and Duke from Cameron Indoor at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. And then a Big 12 matchup that's always fun. Kansas and Kansas State, the Sunflower Showdown at 9 o'clock Eastern. Both games also available on the ESPN app. Both games with conference implications, of course. Let's check in with Maria Taylor.
Well, Coach Cal is going with a bigger lineup. He had Nick Richards come back in for Quade because he says that he wants to attack Kanante. Whoever he is on, he said, get him the ball, continue to attack the offensive glass, and also look for some more trapping coming out on defense. They want to continue to attack them, and he said, don't give up any layups to this team.
Well, the offensive rebounding has been really outstanding for Kentucky. 18 offensive boards on the game. Jared Vanderbilt has 11 rebounds in this game, 7 of them offensive. Wenyen Gabriel, 9 boards. Kevin Knox, 7. Nick Richards, 6. So the young Kentucky Wildcats have stepped into this environment and have out-rebounded West Virginia so far by 12, including 20 second chance points.
When it looks on a few different occasions in the first half as if the young Wildcats were right on the cusp of maybe getting run out of the gym. West Virginia led by 17 on a couple of different occasions in the first half. We'll try to get word of what this review is on. Perhaps it's who the shooter should be on the foul. Whatever it was, they got it sorted out quickly.
It doesn't seem quick to me. They had all the time out to do
That's true.
That's not quick.
And it is Kevin Knox. What a night. 29 points, the most scored by a Kentucky player this season. And to make it an even 30 now. 18 offensive rebounds for 20 second chance points for Kentucky.
Really, if it weren't for the turnovers, Kentucky has been so efficient when they haven't coughed the ball up, and now they're trying to put some pressure on this West Virginia team.
16 foul. But the turnover story is really a two-part story. As we mentioned, 10 turnovers in the first 10 minutes. Only 5 turnovers since then. So Kentucky's done a much better job since the first 10 minutes handling that pressure. And part of it, as you said, when West Virginia stops making shots, they can't set up the press.
I mean, really, I think the issue has been in large measure that West Virginia's offense, I mean, they went from oasis to desert in no time. And why Kentucky would foul 2 times and put West Virginia team that's really struggled to score in the half court, put them at the line. You know, that shows a little bit of youth on the part of the Wildcats.
17 foul, 1-1 for Miles. 71% free throw shooter.
And he has really struggled offensively, especially over the last 4 games. 4 of 22 over that 4-game stretch from three-point range.
And really tonight, offensively for the Mountaineers, Carter's been huge, especially in the first half. Bolden has 14, hit a couple of big threes earlier this half. Konate has done well, but other than that, the offense has been a little bit sparse for the Mountaineers.
A huge difference in free throws in the second half. Kentucky's been more aggressive than West Virginia, and they have shot a ton more free throws in the second half than the Mountaineers have.
Two minutes to go.
Baxter Miles still on Kevin Knox.
Lob, Richards. And it's out of bounds, Kentucky ball with 7 seconds on the shot clock.
Well, there was a lot of contact as Nick Richards went up for that lob. I'm a little surprised that Kevin Knox is not taking Baxter Miles down into the post.
It's as if West Virginia is saying, we know you like to play on the perimeter more. Prove to us that you'll go down in the block.
What are these referees talking about? It's like they should just go to lunch.
When Richards had his hand on the ball, did he perhaps get it up and graze the rim with that? And just speculating here, would that necessitate resetting the shot clock? We will try to find out what this is about. And we are told that is indeed what this review is about. So let's keep an eye on Richards. Did it hit the rim? I think it did. Yes, it did.
I saw the guy grabbing the rim.
Yeah. So that should be a field goal to hit the rim. So are they going to put it back to 30? Yes, they will. We are told from the gang in the truck doing some great work that West Virginia, Jay, was able to set up the press on 21 different possessions in the first half. They've only done it on 4 possessions in the second half.
Well, that's how inefficient the West Virginia offense has been.
So a fresh 30 here for the Cats.
Here's the high ball screen.
Lob again. Richards, tough catch, stripped.
Brought it down.
Carter the kick. Bolden the 3. We're tied.
From KC
with a response at the other end.
Kevin Knox has been spectacular in this game.
Fifth three, 34 points for Knox. Final minute.
Don't have to have a three here. Just attack the basket. If you can kick it out, great.
Not a lot of movement offensively for the Mountaineers. And away from the ball, we've got a foul going against Richards of Kentucky.
Well, after the strip of Richards, who had the ball right underneath the basket, it was taken away from him when he brought it down. Javon Carter taking the ball deep, and then the play behind action, the lefty Beetle Bolden knocking it down off the high ball screen. Just a terrific pass by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to Kevin Knox, and John Calipari loving it.
1-1 for Konate, a 74% free throw shooter on the season. Big miss and big rebound by Richards. You foul here, or do you play it out?
You can play it out right now. I'd give him a chance to turn it over.
Gilgeous-Alexander, no, but Richards with a follow.
What a tremendous follow by Nick Richards. This is one of the more improbable turnarounds that I can remember for a team in Kentucky that is so painfully young. Top 6 scorers, all freshmen, to come into this environment, be down 17, and come back. What a great play. And nobody stepping in front, and nobody blocking out.
And if West Virginia goes on to lose this game, one of the painful aspects of it for the Mountaineers, Jay, will be against Texas Tech last week, had a double-digit lead with 13 minutes to go and lost. Against Kansas, here, had a double-digit lead with 8 minutes to go and lost. And now they had a 17-point lead late in the first half here and are down by 5. A clock issue that the officials are checking right now. The clock should have stopped after the made basket, this being the last minute of regulation, and it ran a little bit, so they'll reset it. 31.5 is what they've put it to right now. But a 20-point swing in the second half in favor of Kentucky.
And right now, West Virginia has to get the ball up court quickly. I like the idea of attacking the rim, and if you get the opportunity to kick it out. But really what you have to do here is make sure you are guarding Beetle Bolden and Javon Carter, the 2 most dangerous three-point shooters.
John Calipari will use a timeout, a chance for us to show you the star of the night so far, Kevin Knox.
Kevin Knox, the freshman, leading scorer for this Kentucky team, from the opening tap was attacking and really got going in transition early on. And once he saw the ball go through the net, it has been all Kevin Knox, especially in this second half. He's made some really strong plays and some great perimeter shots.
He's scored in so many different ways. He's made 5 threes. He's taken 8. He's taken 9 two-pointers, making 6 of them, and he's 7 or 8 from the free throw line. So he's really shown that ability to score in multiple ways here tonight. Very assertive all night long.
And the last one he hit right in front of the Kentucky bench, that was the backbreaker off the fabulous skip pass by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Kentucky wants to make this tough, but not foul. You don't want to stop this clock.
Carter the handoff. Bolden, who's already got 5 threes tonight. Not this time. Ball's loose. And they're getting after it. We've got a tie-up, and the arrow is pointing in Kentucky's direction as the officials get in there. Konate is steamed. Harler's trying to keep his teammate calm. But Konate's had a frustrating night because of a couple of foul calls he feels weren't warranted. And he didn't like something that happened down on the scrum either.
The bad part about this is might be more television watching for the officials. I wonder if it improves ratings when they go over to the monitor this much. So you got a player right on top. Hamidou Diallo's right on top of Konate. I don't see how that could be called anything other than a foul on Diallo, but Looked like they called a tie-up. At least that was the initial indication. Right now, the officials calling up their Netflix account.
It's a shame, and it's something that, I mean, they're just.
No, they're doing what they're
doing their
supposed to
job.
do.
They're just officiating by the rules.
This is a rules problem, not an officials problem.
Exactly, but to have so many reviews and so many delays in the late stages of what's been a really terrific game.
Yeah, it's a flow killer. And look, I get it. You want to get things right, but it just sort of kills the flow of the game. Now, I don't get this. Like, Hamidou Diallo is on top of Konate.
Yeah.
And nobody has control of the ball except Konate.
Yeah.
That is a foul.
But you cannot go to the monitor and then come out and assess a common foul. If somebody threw an elbow, I know.
I'm not saying that.
But and they were looking. I assume
complete screw up by the officials.
Yeah,
that cannot be missed.
I understand. I'm just explaining why they went to the monitor. They were looking to see if there was something flagrant there, which, if there was, they could have called. They cannot call a common foul if it was not called initially, and now Bolden commits the foul.
Foul is whistled on Beetle Bolden. That's his first.
And Kentucky is on the verge of a major, major road win for this program.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And you have to give these young Kentucky Wildcats a ton of credit for hanging in there and continuing to fight. And John Calipari's talked to his team about toughness and about becoming a closer team and fighting. And this was a collective fight in a very difficult environment. You just don't come in here and outfight West Virginia, and that's what Kentucky's done.
Down 17 on a number of occasions, including 3.5 minutes into the second half. That was the latest time, and a 24-point turnaround in the last 16.5 minutes. And Bob Huggins calls his last time out. Well, we were getting on Jay Will a little bit. Remember, he took the hard road this morning here in Morgantown. He was playing up to the fans. He claims to be able to play the guitar, though all we know from this video is that he can hold a guitar. But then the big reveal, and he picked Kentucky to win the game tonight. Looks like he might have the last laugh.
I'm sorry.
I don't know with those glasses on.
Then he need a little protection to get out of the building.
A pretty good call by Jay Williams. That's a gutsy group wearing blue in this crowd. Talk about a tale of two halves. A totally different team in the second half. Free throw disparity is a huge factor. 16 for 16 for Kentucky. That turnover, only 5 in the second half. And John Calipari told Maria Taylor before the game, hey, you can turn the ball over. You're going to turn it over more than normal, but it can't be 25.
Just as big a story as how cold West Virginia's gone. 48 points in the first half, 26 in the second.
Yeah, and that's on the half-court offense of the Mountaineers. The shot selection and really working to get a good shot. This was not one of the finer moments in the second half for West Virginia's offense.
Loose ball out of bounds to the Mountaineers with 11.8 to go. Beetle Bolden, by the way, has been grimacing and flexing his right hand and wrist. He's a lefty, but something happened just before the last timeout that's causing him some discomfort.
He had a terrific game off the bench for West Virginia, one of the few bright spots.
Carter to the line with 8.4 to go, but it's all academic now with a 7-point lead for the Wildcats, who are going to have themselves quite a celebration on the flight back to Lexington, you would imagine.
Yeah, it'll be a nice trip home for Kentucky. And I'm not sure how many people expected this young team to come into this environment and win. What a second half by Kentucky. I don't know what John Calipari said during the halftime break. Well, I'll tell you what, I think for every opponent coming into this building, the pullover may be the way to go. The opposing coach pullover now 2-0 here in Morgantown.
And with a win tonight for Kentucky, the SEC would win the Big 12 SEC Challenge 6-4, with Arkansas beating Oklahoma State in the next to last game that ended about an hour ago. And one last foul, perhaps, with 4.7 to go.
James Bolden look at the officials and now you don't call it?
So for Bob Huggins and company, Jay, this will be 4 losses in their last 5 games. And after a 15-game winning streak.
Yeah, last night at Bob Huggins Fish Fry, great charity event that he had, that John Calipari came and supported his friend. You know, he told the crowd, he said, we can't make a shot right now. And that was borne out in the second half. In the first half, West Virginia was making shots. In the second half, couldn't hit water if they fell out of a boat. Great win for Kentucky.
Absolutely. Wow. Bolden gets it off. And Kentucky gets out of Morgantown with an 83-76 win. Their first road win against a top 10 opponent since December of 2014 against Louisville. And with the win tonight by the Wildcats, the SEC takes the Big 12 SEC Challenge 6-4. Kevin Knox with a monster game. 34 points, knocked down 5 threes. The Wildcats end the game on a 9-2 run. And to come back from a 17-point second half deficit to win a big game here in Morgantown. Coming up next, it's X Games Aspen with Jay Billis, Maria Taylor, and our outstanding game day crew. I'm Dan Schulman saying thanks for watching.